Jacktober stuff.
Oh, thanks.
Those are like, I like the I don't know what it is, like, they're like all in the same aesthetic. Kinda.
Well, yeah, I mean, because I'm just kind of doing them, because I'm, pretty busy, like, with, like, my real work, but, like, I gotta figure out, like, a way to, like, fit it in and make it work, and some days there's just not time, but I still make the time, and so what's coming out of it is, like, a new aesthetic that's, like...
I'm loving it. Kind
of, like, more raw and more immediate and maybe, like, more me, and then the ones... that I'm really digging, even though they're not very polished, but the ones I'm really digging are like I'm doing the ones on my phone when I like really don't have time.
Love
and it's like, okay, I gotta draw, and like I'm kind of getting good at that, and I'm starting to think like maybe I'll do a comic, in that way, because then I could add like a whole bunch of
that's brilliant
productive time, like all that time you just like waste during a day when you're doing this or doing that.
Yes.
It's like I can pull out my phone and instead of
Dude,
goofing around with whatever, just like draw like a panel of a comic, with my and again have like a different aesthetic,
I love the Thing when he was on the boat.
Yeah, Thingbeard.
Thingbeard, I love Thingbeard.
Welcome to Total Recall Show. I'm Tom Scioli, author of Jack Kirby, The Epic Life of the King of Comics and Fantastic Four Grand Design.
I'm Matt Zeoli.
And today we're talking about Little Shop of Horrors, not quite the full scope of the movie, but specifically the ending that got cut. There was like an ending to this that didn't make it into the final cut, and I'd only learned about it relatively recently and only seen this alternate ending recently, and I was kind of blown away by it, and I thought it would be like an interesting thing to talk about.
Definitely interesting. I'd never seen the musical.
Yeah.
Or the original Roger Corman.
Oh, you never saw the Corman movie?
I had only saw this one, and I did not know that like when you told me there was like a different ending to it, I was like, huh, that's well let me investigate here. And I was like, talk about like that would have blown my mind if that ending had made it through, like very dark, very like
it's an interesting thing to talk about, because even this movie, I haven't really thought about this movie in years. It was like when I was a kid, like we loved this movie, we'd like rent the VHS, watched it a bunch of times, just like loved it, and then kind of moved on to other things. Haven't thought about it in a while, but yeah, like I was just checking it out recently, and then kind of started reading about it a little bit.
Steve Martin, Rick Moranis. I have My Blue Heaven on DVD.
If you compare this with the Roger Corman version, and yeah, I never saw the musical. Like I just saw this movie and the Roger Corman. But if you compare it with the Roger Corman, the Seymour character, like they make the Seymour character much more of like a face, much more of like a hero, somebody we're pulling for, and they kind of absolve him from a lot of like the nasty stuff that he does in the course of the movie, in the way they make this one, which kind of like becomes this sort of altered ending. Like the way they had to change the ending was kind of like the ultimate playing out of that. But they kind of took the like in the Corman movie, Seymour, Rick Moranis' character, is the masochist who goes to the dentist for fun, like played by Jack Nicholson.
Okay.
In the Corman movie, and he's a masochist, and so there isn't the Bill Murray character who goes to the dentist, for fun. The Bill Murray character is Seymour in the Corman movie. It's just like that aspect makes him less of like a goody hero that he is in this movie, that I guess they felt like they needed to make this movie go over with a bigger audience. So he's a masochist. He goes to this sadist dentist, and he enjoys all the pain the dentist gives him. But then also like he enjoys the pain of pricking his finger and letting this like plant drink his blood.
Bill Murray always cracked me up in there.
Yeah.
Steve Martin, he just like totally immersed in that role.
Yeah.
I like when he's pumping up the chair or lowering the chair. He does like Elvis,
he's doing like an Elvis. Yeah, he's completely doing like an Elvis. This is kind of like, when you look at at Steve Martin's career, it's kind of like Jim Carrey. I think Jim Carrey followed like the Steve Martin hero's journey, where it's like he starts out super zany, and then as the movies go on, he gets less zany. So this is like one of Steve Martin's like last zany performances in this movie.
And this wouldn't be the last Frank Oz Steve Martin team up. I think he did Bowfinger.
There's a great movie there. Yeah, Bowfinger.
And
Frank Oz has an interesting career trajectory too, because it's like, oh, he's Miss Piggy.
yeah,
And then he becomes like this, rock solid director. Yeah.
Did In and Out with Kevin Kline.
I think he kind of does it in stages. So it's like, he's Miss Piggy, and that's one thing. And then it's like, he goes from Miss Piggy to Yoda. And then that's kind of getting you like into, and then he starts directing.
He has a cameo in Pittsburgh film Innocent Blood, the vampire movie from Pittsburgh. Mm-hmm. He's like the corner, the cliched corner that's always eating autopsy.
Right, yeah, like the coroner who's got some like gross looking sandwich that he's eating and then like some of the food falls on the body. Yeah, Frank Oz.
You when you see him in a movie and you hear his voice, it's like, oh, there's Yoda and Miss Piggy and
Kermit.
Yeah, it's hard to keep your acting career going when like you open your mouth and like Yoda and Miss Piggy come out.
Gonzo, the great Gonzo too.
It's a lot of fun. It is, and yet it has a happy ending. But the reason it has a happy ending is because the original ending didn't test well.
Yeah.
So the original ending was. It's just so funny because you hear about the original ending and you don't realize how epic it is. Like the original ending is almost like its own movie. It's like they made like a Godzilla movie.
It's awesome.
Yeah, and they say that this was like one of the most expensive movies ever made when it came out. And you see that because that ending, like all the budget goes into that ending because
huge finale.
Yeah, because the finale is like Audrey like dies or something, and then but before she dies, she tells Seymour like feed me to Audrey. Because at least that way I can... Audrey, the woman, says, feed me to Audrey too, so that this way I can always be like part of your life or whatever, as, like Audrey too, having eaten me or whatever. And so then like he feeds Audrey to Audrey too, and then he goes to like fight Audrey too, and loses. Audrey too eats him, and then like spits out the glasses. And it's like Psycho or something, and it's like, you just lost the hero. And then it's this extended epilogue where the Audrey 2 plant becomes this like worldwide sensation, this nationwide sensation. Everybody gets one of the plants. And then pretty soon the planet is overrun by these giant killer plants that are just devouring everything. And it's seriously like a Godzilla movie. You're seeing awesome. This like rampage and stuff. It goes on and on. It's like, it's so cool, so epic. And then it just, the complete anarchy of it, it like ends with the Audrey 2 like bursting through the movie theater screen as you're like watching the movie to eat you.
I was cheering when that happened. And then there's like, am I losing my mind? Was there a scene with like, there was like the American flag in the background? It was like a Patton scene or something?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I think they destroyed the Statue of Liberty or something.
Gosh.
It's like so epic. And so you think about the sort of, when they talk about like filmmakers or storytellers or whatever, to kill your darlings, or kill your babies, kill your darlings, whatever the saying is, where it's like, whatever your favorite moment or scene is in this thing that you wrote or this movie you made, if you cut it out, the movie might actually be better.
Wow.
And that you find yourself in situations where you have to, and that's kind of what they had to do, because they would run the tests, and the audience kind of fell in love with the main characters, Audrey and Seymour, and they wanted them to, that like little happy ending that she sings about this like sort of 50s suburban happiness that they could have, and like the audience in these test screenings wanted that so badly. And when it has this sort of like offbeat kind of like very funny, very insane, very interesting ending, the audience came out very angry, and I guess, like, I never knew this before, but I guess like if at this time, at least, I don't know if this is still true, but if the test audience scores aren't above a certain score, they can't release the movie. They don't release the. They will only release the movie if it's and they were just, the ending was killing the scores, so they took out this like long, very expensive, very cool plant rampage, took that out, and then created this like happy ending that was like much less ambitious, much shorter, but gave them the sort of happily ever after closure for the two. And then when they ran the tests, it was like through the roof. It was much better. So like this is it. And you think about like for like Frank Oz and stuff, it's like, wow, like I really like in my opinion, like I hit a home run. I gave it my all. I created this like super cool, like it's almost like the ending is like the best part. Like that deleted ending is like the best part of the movie. It's like a bonus movie you get.
When I saw that, I couldn't believe like you could definitely see the bucks on the screen there, and it wasn't chintzy. It was like you could feel it.
And
like,
the rest of the movie is kind of chintzy, like it is kind of stagey. It's an adaptation of a musical stage production that was an adaptation of like the Corman movie. So this is like two adaptations later, but it is kind of like stagey and stuff. And it's like all the money is spent on this deleted scene.
Lisa, they didn't cancel the whole movie,
right? Like Batgirl or something. Yeah. It like must have been so heartbreaking. And for the longest time, they thought that original ending, like the footage, was lost. I think there was like they had like some black and white, proof or something. Like they had some version of it that wasn't. But then I guess like how long ago they uncut, they found that like no, we do have the whole thing intact. I was blown away because again, like hearing about this like cut ending, you can't in your wildest dreams imagine it being like as ambitious as it actually is.
And the special effects are amazing. Like whenever it has Rick Moranis in his vines, and it's like lowering him, like this giant, like the gaping maw, like it looks so well done. But no one ever saw it.
No one ever saw it. It's like, man, it just makes you think like how many Hollywood stories are there like this where somebody creates something really amazing they're super proud of, and I would say like it's clearly artistically superior. Like yes, the audience in general wants to come out with a smile on their face and have a happy ending, but like that's not always like the best movie.
Whenever I equate like test audiences to like jury duty, like when I was on a jury once, and listen, I don't got a couple like brain cells to rub together, but I felt like I was like Albert Einstein. Like so, I'm like, note to self: don't ever rely on this slice of life to save my ass.
Yeah, I mean, like I understand how like I understand how the lowest common denominator works because it is like there's a stupid part of us. There's like a dumb part of us. There's like a moronic part of us that like everybody has. Everybody has it. And it's like there, and it's like sometimes you can like rise above it, or sometimes when you're at your best. But like everybody, like some people don't. Like some people are just at that level. But like we all have it. We all have it in there. If you can appeal to that part, then
I love that
you're gonna have
part.
You're gonna have a hit. So, but yeah, like man, what kind of cool that now you can see it. And again, since it is almost like its own movie, you can kind of see it like it holds together as its own unit, which I guess also when you're talking about making a movie, if you have like a section of your movie that's super strong, sometimes that like is counterproductive. It does like you need to kind of the whole has to be greater than the sum of its parts.
Like the super strong section can like by contrast make the other sections look a little bit like bring them down.
Yeah, bring them down and kind of like it just
small potatoes make the meat look larger.
When you see like the actual like knowing now that like the actual ending of the movie was like a last minute thing that they had to do to kind of save it. It is like the ending of the movie is so cheap, and it's like Audrey 2. Like he just like Seymour just kind of like grabs like some wires or whatever, and then Audrey 2 is like, "Hello, baby," like it says like some kind of thing, and then it's like this cheapest looking explosion, like superimposed over like the puppet, like not really doing anything.
They didn't create it for the movie because you can see like the X-wing swoop away.
I was gonna say I think
it on the surface.
I don't packed it on the surface. I was gonna say I think they used like one of the explosions from Howard the Duck in it, like just. Boop. Just popped it in, yeah.
Yeah, it felt like an inserted blast.
And that the deleted ending, it's like this delicious slice of 80s practical effects.
Oh,
it's
God.
puppets and all this stuff, you know, and it just like it looks so good. You'll never get something made like that again. It'll be all, you know, all digital. CGI. So it's like, man, what a treasure. But again, like it still exists. There's John Candy, so great.
We got so many great cameos in this.
Yeah.
We got Bill Murray, John Candy.
I love this kind of stuff whenever you see, like, in a movie, like a
Radio,
station.
oh, yeah.
And yeah, there's a guy with all the sound effects. Like, there's a similar scene in Annie where, where like, you know, Annie goes on the radio and there's, like, you know, fake footstep. There's, like, Foley work going on in the background.
We do the Total Recall Foley work.
Yeah.
I have, like, a whoopee cushion and, like, a leather jacket I hit with a bat for punches.
And John Candy's doing all this stuff. And then it's like, what's a naked lady doing in the studio? All this, like, theater of the mind, you know. Ma'am, put on your clothes. Place in Skid Row, and then the radio station is WSKID.
Then you're like, what is this, WSKID or something? You know, I wish I could watch the movie and have like splice in the original.
Yeah, I mean they need to do that. Yeah, I mean, you know, like a happy ending is always going to be a crowd pleaser, you know, but sometimes you know you gotta like, I mean, it's art and commerce, and I guess like. That rating system was like too hard and fast a rule for them, but like, you know, and I guess the movie came out, it was a hit and stuff. I think it wasn't as big of a hit as they were expecting. Again, they did put a lot of money into it, but it was a hit. And then on VHS, it became like a mega hit, and that's how I saw it as a kid. I guess if they had put it out with that original ending and it bombed or something, you know, but we'll just never know.
I was in the
I say go for it. I say go for the gold. Go risk the huge flame out.
Get weird.
If it means that you're, God knows I've done that in my career where you get the big opportunity and like you just go for it.
Tom.
Are you dying, Matt?
I'm dying alive.
Did you have some of the seltzer?
Blew a tire or something.
Okay. You've been watching the Total Recall show, Little Shop of Horrors alternate ending episode.
I'm Matt Zeoli.
And I'm Tom Scioli, author of Jack Kirby, The Epic Life of the King of Comics, and Fantastic Four Grand Design. Follow me on Twitter at Tom Scioli or on Instagram at Tom_Scioli, and check out my Patreon. Go to patreon.com, search Tom Scioli.
Follow me on Instagram at cinema_tomb.
And I'll see you next time. Matt's dying.
Get me to the hospital.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I gotta drive Matt to the ICU. Or to the emergency room.
SKID?
The ER. Yeah, the ER for a fatal case of SKID.
You're like, this guy's got skid marks all the way up his back.
He's got skid marks on his skid mark.
The guy's he's rooster tailing in the bathroom. I think about this movie a lot when I'm playing Mario, because every time those plants come out of the pipes,
yes.
I'm always like, little shop of horror.
I'm trying to think of the timing, because like this is 86. I think Super Mario came out in 86 or 85, but the Corman movie existed and the musical existed. Maybe those piranha plants were, but yeah, you're right. That's a good call on there.
I think about it when I'm playing. I'm like, little shop.
That would be cool if the Mario theme was like.
Well, at the end of them, when you beat the one stage, the plant wraps around Mario and then pulls it slowly into. Then he spits out his hat or his mustache. His mustache.
I'm surprised there wasn't a little, just because of the timing. I'm surprised there wasn't a Little Shop of Horrors NES game, you know, to go alongside like the Back to the Future game.
Rick Moranis is like platforming.
Yeah. I'm surprised there wasn't a Honey I Shrunk the Kids NES game. There might have been a Honey I Blew Up the Kid SNES game.
When I was in elementary school, this kid in my class told me about Honey I Blew Up the Kid, but he was like, yo, you gotta see the preview of this movie. It's called Honey I Blew Up the Baby. He called it Honey I Blew Up the Baby, and I was like, hey, that sounds pretty cool.
It was a baby. You know, that reminds me of like the kid who was telling me about the trailer for Terminator 2 and said, bye, baby.